ばいよ.
Yeah, me too. That's what you get when you wake up in a school with massive metal bolts on the doors and a weird talking teddy bear doing torture. Hello everyone, my name's James. This is Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc on iOS. This is a port of the now 10-year-old game. It's a sort of fusion between an interactive novel, it's kind of got that romance relationship building thing, and also a little bit of horror, and it's become something of a cult hit, and it's beloved throughout the fans of this kind of thing. Whether it is, I'm going to hit a little button here, whether it is your kind of thing very much depends on how you react to the idea of reading a lot of text and getting involved in a lot of narrative. This isn't a kind of run-around action game or anything like that, or even close. It is all about the story and the interrogation. Closest analogues, I suppose, in popular culture, things like the Ace Attorney series, right down to the fact that there are sort of quasi-trials in this game where you have to analyse what people are saying and decide whether they're guilty or innocent. Not really, but to kind of decide whether they're lying and whether they're worthy of death or not. It's a very strange game. One I've played, not completed, but played a bunch of on PS4 when it got ported over. The question we're going to answer here is not so much about the game, because there have been reviews around about this for ages and you'll know if you like it or if you don't. It's more about whether the port of this works, and I'm very pleased to say the port seems pretty strong. In fact, it's a very good way to play the game. Because it's all text-based and based on interacting with objects and that sort of thing, as you can see right now, I'm just dragging the camera around with my thumb, and whatever I want to interact with, rather than kind of dragging a cursor around or anything like that, I'm just jab. I talk, and I can immediately access any one or any object I want to get involved with, including the door, so I can get out of here. When you get into the corridors of the school that you're trapped in, you have to wander around using kind of first-person controls. And that means, you know, dragging around your thumbs in the usual way. It goes very fast, it's very sensitive, but it works really nicely. So we don't really have any complaints about it. I've heard some reports of some crashes happening on certain devices. This is available on both iOS and on Android as well. So bear in mind that depending on what the model, the model of your Android device or iOS device, it's not going to support absolutely everything. So definitely check. Here he is, the insane teddy bear psycho, ready to deal out punishment to somebody. You are a teddy bear. I hate to break it to you, dude. Yeah, Monokuma, I don't care what you're called, you're a teddy bear. So do check and make sure your device can run it before buying the game. And I say buy, and I mean buy, because it's about £15.99, £16.99. It's an expensive offering for iOS, especially for a game that is, maybe even played on numerous other platforms. Thing is, cult games like this tend to be able to price themselves pretty highly and get away with it, which is what this one is doing. Obviously there are two more games in the series, and I think they're working on a first-person shooter version as well. So it's got a lot going on. Question is whether you're prepared to pay for it for a mobile game, and people in the mobile marketplace aren't maybe used to spending quite so much on anything that isn't, I don't know, a Square Enix game or something like that. And again, your mileage is going to seriously vary. From what I've played of it, and I went back to the beginning to show you some early stuff, I haven't had any crashes so far, and I'm playing on an iOS mobile phone, obviously. I'm playing on an iPhone 10. The reviewer for our site, he played it on an iPad 4, I think, which is a fairly older device, and he didn't have any problems with it either. You'll notice there are black bars at the side of the screen here, and that's because I'm playing on an iOS, I keep saying iOS, on an iPhone 10, and that's not a 16:9 aspect ratio. It's not the size of a TV, it's wider than that. So you get these black bars at the side. If you're playing on an iPad, you get black bars at the top and bottom. So it's not all formatted perfectly, but in terms of just interacting with the game, doing the pointing and the investigating and the clicking and everything, it's perfect. It's perfect on an iOS device. Let's not forget that it was originally a PS Vita game, so it's very much built for mobile, and the Vita had a touchscreen as well. But I was concerned maybe they'd either messed up the port in some way, it wouldn't look as good, or it wouldn't control as well. Visually, it's great. It's upscaled really well. You can see in some of the cutscene bits, it drops to a lower resolution, but this screen is very, very nice, the iPhone 10 screen, and all this stuff, it's upscaled beautifully. And control-wise, we don't really have any gripes with it. It works very well. Price-wise, You can get the entire Ace Attorney trilogy for like £17, and this is just one of the 3 games that are going to come out, and they do scratch similar itches. They've got that same kind of interactive narrative, murder, mystery, with a little bit of judgy puzzle solving thrown in, but they're very different tones, as this one is a bit weirder and darker than Ace Attorney. So it's a judgment call for you guys, but as you can see here, it's working just fine. And if you've been waiting for an opportunity to play it on any device and iOS is your only option, it is certainly a decent way to give it a go. I'm going to keep arguing with this bear for the time being, but in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.